Hello and welcome. This is the dbDOS Pro 4N overview of how to set up a machine for multi-user. Now in most cases you are going to already understand how to set up your system for multi-user. However, I wanted to give a quick example of how to do that if you're starting from scratch. So as you can see, I have my File Explorer up and running. I have it on C at this particular moment in time. I have a network set of data and location, and that is basically found on my cloud environment. I have a public, and inside that public I have a samples, and that is where all of my data and programs and applications are located. So now that I know that, now what I want to do is I now want to set up my machine so that I can use those environments. To do that, I'm going to kick off the configuration manager, and what I want to do is I want to set this up for the networking capability. So to do that, I come in here and say new config, and this time we're going to call this one my dbDOS 4N example, and I always recommend putting in a good one. So this is for testing the network functionality of dbDOS Pro 4N example. Okay. Once I do that, the biggest thing is going to be setting up my environment where things are located. So I want to create a mounted drive. The first thing I want to do is I want to point to where my product is located. So on DBase I have a structure that's located on DBase. I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to come into here. Now you should already know how to do most of this stuff, so I'm not going to really explain what I'm doing. I'm just putting in where the executable is located, and I'm going to leave everything the way it is for the most part. Going to put it on overlay. Going to keep my original sizing for that. We'll hit next, and we'll hit finished. Realize that I have made a small error, so I'll go back in there, and I need to now create the mounted drive to where my network is located. So I'm going to come into here, I'm going to open this up, I'm going to come into my network now, and as we did before, this will take a second. It'll go out and find my network. There's my cloud that we were working with before, there's public, and there's my sample. So I'm going to say OK on that. Now notice it puts the network slashes in there, does everything that I need, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the OK key. Now from this standpoint, everything else should be ready to go, so I'm just going to go next, 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 all the way through this process. And I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. Now what that did was that also gave me the dbDOS N example. So I'm going to double click on the dbDOS for example. So, but you'll see this, it'll pop up here in a second. We'll see everything kick off. And then the next thing is for inside of dbDOS Pro 4, I want to set my directory, and I want to change my directory to D because that is what we set it up inside of my structure. So I want to make sure that I have that. So we have D, and we can see there's Campo. I know that's a subdirectory of my samples directory on the network drive, so I'm going to say OK on that. I'm then going to come into DBase, and I'm going to type in assist. And we'll see that there's a business one over here for applications. I'll double click on it with my mouse and I'll say run application. It'll say yes, and now my application is running, the first copy of my application. Because dbDOS is a VM, I can actually have multiple dbDOSes running, and they're independent of each other. As far as dbDOS is concerned, each time I log in is a separate entity for the network. So I can go on another machine and do this, I could go on 5 other machines and do it, or I can do it on one machine because each dbDOS VM is separate from all of the other VMs. So I'm going to come in here and double click on that DOS again. We're going to run that exact same product, run this again. We're going to go ahead and change the directory just like what we did before. So I'm going to come in File, Change Directory, and I'm going to change this to D, and we'll get rid of that, and I'll say change. There is that Campo again, and I'll say OK. And now I'll type in the word assist, and it's going to bring up the business. I'll hit business, run application, yes. And now I'm into I have both of these running at one time. Okay. Now I'm going to go into employees, and I'm going to go onto the first one, which is Adams, and I'm going to go into the employees, and we're in Adams as well. So again, remember, these are in separate VMs so that they are separated. So as far as dbDOS is concerned, I've got two accesses, and whether it's on the same machine or a different machine, it does not matter. So now I'm going to change this thing. So I'm going to come in and click the Edit Record. Notice that it says that press F9 to look up the area code if I wanted to. But I'm now going to change this to Adams 2 or Adam 12. And while I'm in there, now I'm going to go back into my other one, and I'm going to try to edit this record. As you heard that noise, it comes up and it says network error, record is locked by session 2. Press the space bar to try again, or press escape to exit. So I'm going to hit the escape. The exit was there. Now when I do that, what this is going to do is that's going to take me all the way back out of there, because it was an explosion out of there, because that's the way it was set up to run. Double click on this, come back in, run application, start this up again, go back into employees. I'm going to try to edit this record again. It's going to come up. There's the error. And now if I hit my space bar again, you'll hear that error again. Now if I come back into my other one and we go ahead and finish this out and get this out of here, and we go to next record, save the record, yes. There we go. Now we have the 12. Now I should be able to come back out of here, go to next record, then go previous record. There's my Adam 12. Go next record. There's my Adam 12. It automatically updated to my Adam 12 there. Go to previous, and there's where my network communication has all been set up. So this gives you a quick example of how to set it up. I set up a network drive. I basically set it up the way it should be able to work and kick off my application. The network communication should be picked up, and everything should work from there. Hopefully this was useful for you guys. I'll be sharing this with you here in a few minutes. Thank you. Bye-bye.